قولوا قولوا يا ما شاء الله 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 قولوا قولوا يا ما شاء الله 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 قولوا قولوا يا ما شاء الله.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. Good morning, South Africa. Okay. And I'm a born Muslim, and my father is a convert Chinese. And mother is a mix of Pakistani and Malaysia. And my grandfather is a Punjabi and brought up in Hong Kong and was a civil servant. So I'm consider myself as a third generation Muslim in Hong Kong. As for myself, I was brought up in Hong Kong and educated in Canada. I'm a business consultant and I also do interior design. After settling back in Hong Kong in the year 2000, I noticed the needs for more professional help in the Muslim community, and I started to spend my time and contribute myself. My father was a dedicated Muslim and spent his days working in the mosques in the community, and I believe he would appreciate our generations to contribute, follow the footsteps of Allah, and then, of course, it's our duty to serve the Muslims in the world, not only in Hong Kong. And now I'm the treasurer of the Hong Kong Islamic Youth Associations. And this is an association of 40 years of history. And we mainly want to engage Muslim youth to live the teachings of Quran and enrich themselves as part of Hong Kong. So we organize activities, teaching classes, or just relaxing cultural events for them to know Hong Kong and then within a group of Ummah. It's Juma now in Hong Kong, so you can hear Imams reciting. Yes, Islam actually existed in Hong Kong for over 175 years. People might find it surprising. It seems like a British colony, a very Chinese cultural cities, but actually it's a very multicultural cities in Hong Kong with a mix of various ethnic origin. The first of the Muslim settlers, they came into Hong Kong as soldiers with the Indian troops, and some armies and military force that arrived Hong Kong with the British military. Some later arrived as traders, merchants in the 19th century, and so mosques were built to cater for them to congregate. Many of the descendants are now fourth or fifth generations, and they are now barristers, judges, successful businessmen, and of course some of them are now heads of our Muslim organizations and serving the Muslim community. And of course, there are increasing stories about Islam in the world and of course in Hong Kong. And then increasingly Islamic phobia world in Hong Kong. We have 300,000 Muslims here. And there's a rare examples of peaceful cultural coexistence. In Hong Kong, we enjoy the freedom of religion and good communications with different faiths. Indeed, since 9/11, the number of conversions to Islam has been increasing. It seems that more people are horrified by media reports of extremists. The more they decided to explore the true teaching of Islam, and the more to host regular understanding Islam courses to cater these needs. So through these classes, they find the true beauty of Islam and comfort. And in 2015, the Center for Study of Islamic Cultures are set up at the Chinese University of Hong Kong and is sponsored by the Islamic Cultural Associations. And this facilitates learning by academics, students, and the public. No. Yes. As I say earlier, people come in as firstly in the 19th century, in the mid 19th centuries. So it's a very long history of Muslims, and usually they are Indians from their origin. But then is Hong Kong is a very engaging cities, and so they are part of Hong Kong people. And some of them are actually a mix of Pakistanis and Chinese wives, and then they brought up as local boys, we will call. And the early Muslim immigrants, they are mainly from Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and when they married, they will brought up their children to be Muslims. And of course, there are a big group of Chinese Muslims who are we call them Hui, and they come into Hong Kong as traders of antiques, of fabrics, and some of them are chefs, and they played a vital role in Hong Kong. And then we have families like we call them Toots, the Yeung's family, the Ma's family, and they are very pioneering in engaging the community and then develop Islam in Hong Kong. And the late Kasim Tut is a pioneer in education, and he finds the importance of education. So he created organizations and then built schools, including the Islamic Qasim Tut Memorial College we have now, and it's the secondary schools. And 95% are actually Muslims of Pakistan origin. And there are also a lot of other dedicated Muslims that help to build the community for the last centuries and facilitate the development of Islam in these cities. And there are, of course, a significant numbers of Muslims in Hong Kong. There are imams from across the world. So you would imagine we have imams from Saudi Arabia, from China, from Malaysia, and Taiwan. And not to mention a lot of Hafiz and Imams at our 40 madrasa in Hong Kong that teach students about Quran. And Hong Kong, of course, is a business and financial hub, and it attracts a big numbers of traders and businessmen, academics from other Muslim world to come here to Hong Kong, including Egypt, Algeria, Tunisia, Turkey, Africa, and Saudis. And with a big group of Muslims, we have charitable work, and it's carried out by several Islamic organizations to serve women's, our Muslimah, our children's, our old age, and that includes financial aid for the needy, medical care, educational assistance, the provision of Islamic schools from kindergarten to secondary schools and old age home. In the new millennium, we have a big group of domestic helper, and that accounts for 120 domestic foreign workers from Indonesia. And the sisters usually works in a Chinese family, and they form their own support groups to support each other. And during their holidays, they spend their time in the mosque or in the local parks. I understand your questions. That's a very common questions of, are we having a freedom to practice? Are we having a freedom to preach in Hong Kong? And up to now, we will say we have the freedom to preach. We have the freedom to fast, to pray in Hong Kong under the Chinese government. In Hong Kong, we have a one country, two systems. So in Hong Kong, we're still under judicial systems of British that lives over to us. And a population of 300,000 of Muslims in Hong Kong. There are 6 mosques, and 5 of them are open to the public. The oldest mosque in Hong Kong is 170 years old. And you can see this is the Jama Mosque in Hong Kong. I will put it here, sorry. This is a Jama Mosque in Hong Kong, and actually is built in the central of the city. It's called the Shirley Street. And it's catered actually for the first settler in Hong Kong. And it's a wonderful fusion of Asian and Islamic architecture. And then we have the Kalung Masjid in the busiest streets in Hong Kong, and I believe it is in Asia. That part actually, when it was first built, it was to cater for the soldiers from the barracks. And then it was rebuilt again in around 1982. And so you can see that it can equip 4,000 Muslims to do congregations. And you can see this square, sorry, yes, you can see the mosque, the white one. And it's one of the most visible Islamic structure built at the busiest streets. And this is how we attract people. Every 3 months in a quarter, we have open house and to cater for the public to come in to visit. And the Masjid Omar and the Omar Sadiq Center, Islamic Center in the Wan Chai, it opened in the 1981 and it served part of the areas in the Hong Kong island. And in Hong Kong, we also have 2 cemeteries. As one is in the Cape Collison and the other one is in Happy Valley. And so we will follow the what we need to do, and we have a team of sisters or brothers that do a lot of help within the cemeteries. And we have 40 madrasas, and actually is a lot of students that they actually spend almost 2 hours per day to spend the days to read and learn Quran. And that's one interesting mosque that we have is actually that is not open to the public and is called standing prison. It's inside the standing prison, and it's a standing masjid. It's a very small masjid that will allow Pakistani guards at that time. You can see the masjid. I'm sorry. Yeah, this one. I'm sorry to find. Yeah, this masjid is a very small masjid. Actually, it's catered for the guards who are Pakistani origin, and they can do their prayers at the mosque. So there are also other regular prayers and facilities inside a lot of our Islamic center. And of course, due to the increasing population, there are calls to build more mosques in Hong Kong, but land was an issue. And the bureaucracies in the government about the applying for the mosque in the suburbs of Hong Kong, we call the new territories. And we, inshallah, we hope that we can have a new mosque very soon. Yes, and one would say we have a very freedom to preach and to pray and to practice our religion. And Hong Kong actually considered one of the most densely populated city in the world, and is have a higher and one of the highest per capita incomes in the world. But unfortunately, we suffered from the most severe income equality among developed economies. Hong Kong population is 8 million and is characterized by diversity of beliefs and practices. according to the official statistics in 2016. And there are about 2 million Buddhists, Taoists, and about 500,000 Protestants, 400,000 Catholics, and 300,000 Muslims. And of course, there are also Hindus, Sikhs, and other smaller communities. And in Hong Kong, as a Muslims, we of course have mosques. We of course also have halal food, halal restaurants to cater the needs for our Muslims. Since the end of the British rule in 1997 and the handover of Hong Kong to China, religion was obviously tightened, especially Christianity of subversive Western values. As for Muslims, we still enjoy the freedom to go to mosques, to madrasa, to pray and to fast. And there are a total of 40 madrasa in Hong Kong for all of us to go to. As for the younger generations, they do face difficulties in education, especially in the language of Chinese, because Chinese language is actually a compulsory for them in the primary school and in the secondary school, which creates a barrier. Our associations, the Hong Kong Islamic Associations, is giving a hand, and we do host courses, trainings, and planning ahead to assist the younger generations and allow them to enrich in Hong Kong. We ask Allah to make our efforts easy and give us opportunity to help. In general, I would say we're very good and we have a freedom in a lot of ways. Yes, I believe that we have a world that is very confused and what is going on. And as ourselves, we have to reflect every moment of what we have to do, what is right, and follow the teaching of Quran. And most people are talking their own interests consciously or unconsciously and causing disunity or diversity. In the Islamic world, and as a Muslim, we should unite and keep the unity, the brotherhood, and always try to remember to help each other not only in our own cities but extend to other parts of the world. As teaching from the Prophet Muhammad Rasulullah, my ummah is an ummah that has mercy upon it. Let's the world in unity and let's preach the beauty of Islam as it has no boundary. I thank you very much for the invitation to speak to the other part of the world. And may Allah grant blessing to all of you and grant blessings to those who are suffering. And to you too. Jazakallah and assalamu alaikum.